Hello students, welcome back to the history class. So in the last class we have learned about the age of revolutions 1830 to 1848, and today we will learn about hunger, hardship and popular revolt. Okay, so let's start then. So in the year 1830, Europe witnessed a lot of economic hardship, economic problems. So during this time, there was a huge increase in population all over Europe. Okay, so the increase in population further led to unemployment. Like there were more seekers of jobs than employment. Population from rural areas started migrating to cities in hopes of better lives. And there they started living in overcrowded slums. Slums means a part of an area where poor people lives. Next, the small producers in town, they had to face stiff competition from imports of cheap machine-made goods. Okay, machine-made goods from England. So in England, the industrialization was more advanced than any other continent. Okay, so England used to export cheap machine-made goods to other countries. So the small producers from other countries, they started facing stiff competition. Next, in those regions where aristocracy still enjoyed power, okay, so in those regions, peasants struggled under the burden of feudal dues and obligations. Feudal dues like taxes related to land. The bad harvest and the rise of food prices led to widespread pauperism in town and country. Pauperism means poverty. The year 1848 was one such year. Because of food shortages and widespread unemployment, people of Paris, they came out on the street. So the French people held their king, King Louis Philippe, responsible for all the economic hardships. So when people started revolting against their king, the King Louis Philippe had to flee from France. He was forced to flee from France. So student, you know about Louis Philippe, right? I've told you that he was made the king of France in the year 1830 after July Revolution by the liberal revolutionaries. So he ruled France from 1830 to 1848. So like in the year 1848, another revolution started in France. Okay, this is also called the French Revolution of 1848. And in this revolution, King Louis Philippe, he had to give up his power. After that, the National Assembly proclaimed or declared France a republic and granted suffrage. Suffrage means the right to vote to all adult males above 21 years of age, and guaranteed the right to work. In 1845, weavers in Silesia also started a revolt against their contractors. So usually the contractors used to give them orders for finished textiles, okay, but at the time of delivery, these contractors, they reduced the prices of the goods. Okay, so when they reduced their payments, the weavers were not happy with this, and so they revolted against their contractors. So on 4th June at 2 p.m., large crowd of weavers, they came out of their homes and they marched towards the mansion, the houses of their contractors, and they started demanding for higher wages. When some of the weavers started attacking the houses of contractors, these contractors, they had to flee from their homes. So in the clash between armies and the weavers, 11 weavers were shot. So students, the revolution of 1848 in France is also called the February Revolution. So after the revolution of 1848, King Louis Philippe had to abdicate his throne, and the National Assembly declared France a republic. Republic is a form of government in which the power is held by the people and their elected representatives. Like in France, revolt also started in other parts of Europe, like in Germany, Italy, Poland, Austro-Hungarian Empire. And who started this revolts? It was liberal middle classes. Liberal middle classes started revolts, and they also demanded for parliamentary principles like constitution, freedom, etc. Next is Germany. So let us find out what happened in Germany in 1848. In the German region, a large number of political associations whose members were middle class professionals, businessmen, and prosperous artisans. Okay, they all came together in the city of Frankfurt. So Frankfurt is a name of a city in Germany. So they all came together in the city of Frankfurt, and they decided to vote for an all German National Assembly. Then on 18 May 1848, 831 elected representatives marched in a festive procession to take their places in Frankfurt Parliament, convened in the church of St. Paul. Okay, so all these members, the members of this political association in Germany, they all gathered in the church of St. Paul. There, they drafted a constitution for a German nation to be headed by a monarchy subject to a parliament. Monarchy subject to a parliament means king comes under the parliament. Okay, like king will be there, but the real head would be the person elected. Then the deputies, okay, the elected assembly, they offered the crown to Frederick Wilhelm IV. He was the king of Prussia. Okay, so they offered the crown to Frederick Wilhelm IV, but he rejected the offer and he joined other monarchs to oppose the elected assembly. Later on, the opposition, like the aristocracy, monarchs, and military, okay, they all became stronger and they started opposing the parliament. And in the end, the troops were called in and the elected assembly was forced to disband. Disband means to break up, okay, to dissolve. Next is women. So in all the liberal movements, women also took active part. Okay, women took active part in all the liberal movements. Women had also formed their own political association, they founded newspapers, they had also taken part in political meetings and demonstration. But despite all this, they were denied suffrage rights during the election of the assembly. Like when the Frankfurt Parliament was convened in 1848, okay, in the church of St. Paul, women were admitted only as observers to stand in the visitors' gallery. Though conservative forces were able to suppress liberal movements in 1848, like in Germany, the monarchs and the military, they forced the elected assembly to disband, right? But slowly, the conservatives also started realizing that they cannot be too autocratic now, and they also started granting concessions to the liberal nationalist revolutionaries. Now, the conservatives also started responding to their demands. So, with this, we have come to the end of the lesson.